I want to thank you for this opportunity to make my farewell speech. You know, I was first elected to this legislature in 1994, exactly 32 years and 2 months ago. It was an exhilarating time, I want to tell you, with great hopes for the future. Toka Sekgwale was the Premier, and there was a government of provincial unity. There has been precedent for this in this province. It consisted of the ANC and 3 members of the new National Party. Now, there were only 5 Democratic Party members. We sat over there. I was Chief Whip, and I had several portfolios, one of which was health. Now, I was not actually happy to be given health, as I'm squeamish about medical matters, and I'd no health background. But anyway, it was given to me, and I plunged in, and I pioneered high-profile inspection visits to hospitals. There were injustices to be rectified, and patients deserved the best quality care within available resources. You know, hospital managers became paranoid about my unannounced visits. I was amused when a doctor from Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital told me there was a panic as I'd been there that morning. In fact, I wasn't there at all. They had fantasies that Jack was everywhere. But anyway, in 2009, my photograph was posted at the entrance to Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital. Barring me entry, I had to get the Speaker to rule that I had the right of oversight. Now, I've asked lots of questions. You've heard a fair number here, but I did an estimate. It's about 3,500 to date, both written and oral. In the early days, I challenged the AIDS denialism of President Thabo Mbeki by asking every single member of the Executive Council whether they believed HIV causes AIDS. They all ducked the question, including Premier Mbazima Shalowa, but I respected Angie Macheka, who gave a truthful answer. I harried the Gauteng Health Department to provide ARVs to prevent HIV/AIDS, but shamefully, a motion I submitted to provide ARVs to HIV-positive pregnant mothers in June 2001 was voted down in this House. Now, I mean, there's a lot of uproar every time I bring out a poster here, but you know, at one sitting, I publicly took an AIDS test with a swab from my inside cheek to encourage more widespread testing. And I don't think I breached any rules in doing that. But what was the most significant question that I've asked in this legislature? It was the Health MEC Adani Mahlangu about the deaths of Life Esidimeni patients sent to dodgy NGOs. This led to the investigation by the Health Ombudsman, who stopped the transfers after the deaths of 144 patients. The question in this House to the MEC for Health that set it all off. Now, in his book on the 2 billion rand looting of Tembisa Hospital, Jeff Wicks describes me as dogged, actually says it about 3 times, in prizing out damning information on the complicity of top officials. And I got a lot of abuse about my questions. I was accused of being racist and sexist when I targeted Adani Mahlangu. There was even a video that was cut. Yes, I'm looking at you. You know who I'm looking at. And I was suspended for 5 days for questioning where former Health MEC Brian Hlongwa got the money to buy a 7.2 million rand house. And I remember the Sergeant of Arms came up here, escorted me from this house when I said I refused to apologize for doing my job. Now, I also served twice as leader of the opposition with some memorable clashes with 3 premiers, Mbazima Shalowa, Paul Mashatile, and Nomvula Mokonyane. I exposed the suspicious contracts of what was called the Alex Mafia. Speaker Lindiwe Maseko banned the use of this term in the House on the grounds that it implied the ANC was a criminal organization. Now, I got chucked out a few times for saying Alex Mafia, so I then used the phrase, that which may not be said. And they all knew what I was talking about. But, you know, do any of you remember Humphrey Mamezi? You know, he was the MEC for Local Government and Housing. He was forced to resign after I exposed his government credit card spending spree, including a 10,000 rand painting from McDonald's. To this day, I still don't know what that was about. But anyway, there were the e-tolls. Remember the e-tolls, which I campaigned against, including boycotts and legal action. And I'm proud to say I was a founder member of OUTA. It was the Organisation Against Urban Tolling, and now it's the Organisation Against Tax Abuse. Now, Madam Speaker, I've got very mixed feelings in leaving this legislature. You know, I've interacted with 6 speakers, 7 premiers, and 11 health MECs. It has been the arena for some epic political clashes, but also, I have to say, some treasured memories. You know, there was a time when members of the ruling party in the Privileges and Ethics Committee would support a sanction of one of their colleagues. There was a shared interest in allowing all motions to be debated instead of blocking them or even going to court to prevent an MEC from being embarrassed. And I think we need to recreate that. You know, friendships across party lines still exist in this House, but it used to be more widespread. I remember having deep conversations with former Speaker Richard Mdekani and with Manda Nkomfi when he was Chief Whip. And a few years ago, I had a very nice drink with Mbazima Shaloa, where we shared memories of this House. So I think we need to encourage that, you know, outside the confines of aggressive debate. But we all need to always remember that we are opponents. We are opponents and not enemies. This is because our shared goal is to do what is best for the people of this country. Politics is often unpredictable, and I'm sure there's a giant sigh of relief in the Gauteng Health Department. But who knows, you may not have seen the last of me if the DA wins the next provincial election. But anyway, Madam Speaker, it is a wrench moving from this legislature after so many years. And I have to say, the most difficult part of my job has been the many distressed patients who contacted me about their treatment in hospitals. So I wish to thank all those hospital CEOs and the complaints managers who responded when I raised their plight. It really has been quite traumatic at times, but I hope I did my best for them, and there are good hospital people who assisted me in this job. But anyway, finally, you know, my new post of Deputy Minister of Water and Sanitation was completely unexpected. But thank you. Well, it came out of the blue, right? But I see it as a continuation of my health mission. It's a vital portfolio to ensure good health and prevent many afflictions and diseases. Madam Speaker, it's been an immense privilege for me to serve in this legislature. And I pledge before you today to do everything I can as an executive member of the Government of National Unity to improve the lives of our people. Thank you and farewell.